Hello and welcome to Wilson Waffling Live. This is Wilson Waffling Live recorded on Sunday the 24th of August 2014, starting a new adventure. And to start off today we're going to try something a little bit different. Run titles.
Wilson Waffling.
So, how did that work? Did we get it all in? Was it all laggy? I have no idea until I watched the playback. So welcome to this week's Wilson Waffling Live. If you're watching this live, then welcome to the show. If you're not and you're watching the recorded version of this, thank you very much for watching. And don't forget to subscribe if you're on YouTube. So, Wilson Waffling has been away for a while, and this picture behind me gives you an idea of why I've been away. Yes, it's been summer, and because it's been summer, I have had a bit of a break, a bit of a vacation. Well, vacation, I haven't been away anywhere, but I've just been chilling and recharging my batteries and ready to sort of like start a new year of Wilson Waffling Live and Wilson Waffling in general, should I say, not just specifically Wilson Waffling Live. So I hope you all had a wonderful summer, and of course we're getting to that point now that we are all getting ready to go either back to work or starting a new year, or either in teaching or at school or anything like that. So I thought now is the time to sort of like get things up and running again and get back to the regular routine of blogging and waffling. So remember, if you would like to tweet me at all, then you can find my this is my tweet at iWilsonYSJ, and by all means tweet me any questions. As you can see, I have the my Twitter live all the time on the show, so if there's anybody who would like to tweet me, then that's absolutely fine. I also do have at times a chat running, although for some other reason I couldn't get it to work today, so I'm not too sure what's going on there, but normally I have tiny chat running and you can chat away to me there, but present moment in time it is not working, so don't try to do it. But by all means, tweet me on Twitter, and then you can contribute to the show if you wish. So let's start talking about getting back to school, and I think that's a really interesting sort of like term, because I sort of like think getting back to school, it sounds as if I'm in primary school, but I often, when I was a primary school teacher, people would say to me, "Oh, are you going back to school next week?" And so I said, "No, I finished school when I was 18." And they sort of like have this idea that, quite rightly so, that because we work at a school, then we're actually at school. But now that I'm in higher education, of course, I'm going back, and we haven't had a lot of people sort of like ask me, "Oh, I bet you enjoy all those holidays being in higher education." And of course, we don't get all the holidays that the students get. And I've managed to take some leave over the summer, which has been nice, like I said. But we generally have about 36 days a year to take annual leave. So I'm sort of like fired up and ready to go back to university. And this got me thinking about getting back to university, or starting a new job, or starting a new class. And when I was on Facebook, a lot of the graduates that I taught are now posting pictures of their new classrooms and sort of like saying how they're getting ready, and also that nervous and that anxiety starting up, that to sort of like start off a new year. And also my RSS feeds are full of sort of like getting back to school tips. So this Wilson Waffling Live, I thought I would talk about getting back to school and starting off new adventures, etc. So to start off with, this is one of the blog posts that I follow, Mrs. Wallaces classroom blog, and this was a blog post that I came across. It came up in my my RSS feed, and I quite like this idea, because here she's actually created a lovely video. And the video sort of like tells the class what they've what she's been doing over the sort of like the summer, and how she's been away. And there's a lovely picture down here of her dog jumping off into the water. But it also sort of like gives that nice welcome and says, welcome, welcome on board. Hope you're going to enjoy the year. It wishes a luck to the people who have already, the people who have left her class the year before. And it also sort of like starts to say, when you come in, will you please remember to bring, etc. I thought, what a wonderful idea that is, to actually create this video that actually gives people who are starting that sort of like that, those new ideas will bring this along, or welcome, especially if children are sort of like feeling worried about meeting their new teacher, or not knowing what to bring. Then it sort of like links it together, and it makes it a little bit more human and a little bit more real to them. And of course, nowadays we often have that transition period, don't we, when the new class comes to the new teacher at the end of in July, and spends either a day or a week working with them before the new year, so that it sort of like reduces that anxiety a bit of the kids when they come in. But I thought creating that video in such a way, sort of like what was a really nice idea to say welcome back, and sort of like, it's really nice to be back and working. So this sort of like brought me on to some other ideas I found, and one of the while looking at various websites, I came across this wonderful cartoon by Boneyard called New Teacher Orientation, and I'll just click it over here. This is from EdgeEdMick.com, and you can see that the web page. I'll put the web page in the links below so you can have a look at all these blogs. But it sort of like gives this idea that things are going to be very sort of like rapid when you get there, and there's going to be a lot of things coming to you, and a lot of things to take on board very quickly. And I think this is very similar to sort of like a lot of things, and it doesn't matter if you're a teacher or pupil or anything. This is going to feel rather familiar, that all of a sudden you're going to start a new job, or you're going to start with a new class, and there's going to be lots of new information sort of like coming on board. And this is why I chose this week on my Wilson Waffling blog is to write about starting the adventure, and the idea that starting the adventure of coming to university, and what can you do if you're coming to university and you're about to start university? What can you do now? And the first thing I was talking about is that, there's all this hype about A-level results and clearing, and once this is sort of like died down and you've got your place, there's quite a gap. There's quite a gap between all that happening and actually starting at university. And this is a time then almost like anxiety can build up, and although you're looking forward to it, you're not sure what to do or what you should be doing. And it's really interesting that at YSJ they've got a primary education society webpage when people can share what to do and ask questions before they've even arrived. And what I thought I'd look at in this week's Wilson Waffling was, how to start that adventure. What some advice. Now, remember, if you're new to Wilson Waffling, remember Wilson Waffling, I waffle every Sunday, and the blog comes out then. And it's also, you can see here, this is the audio version, so you can follow it, either listen to it directly from the website, or you can go to Audio Brew and follow it there. And I sort of like decided that in order to get ready for university, there's sort of like three things that I think you should sort of like being prepared for and getting ready for, and in a sense of three things that you almost like to want to get to be habit forming. And one of the first things that I suggest you do is to get a calendar, and get a calendar that works for you, and a calendar that sort of like is effective for you and really sort of like helps you. And this might be, of course, I'm a techie, so my calendar is like Apple's calendar, and I use Outlook and Google Calendar, but yours might be a diary, and that's absolutely fine. You need to find something that works for you, and you need a way of recording all those sessions, those seminars, those tutorials, and making sure that you know what you're doing when you're doing it. And if you think about it, you may be coming from a period of life when you are being given the routine, and that routine's been presented to you. And so if you've been doing A levels, you've probably been doing 9 till 3:30 or whatever, and you're quite used to that. And that's a big change when you come to university, and there's a lot of responsibility more on you and organizing your own time and things like that. So a calendar can be helpful here, and keep it up to date, or when people give you submission dates for assignments or times for tutorials, when you're booking tutorials, then keep your calendar up to date. Now, as I say, if you want to use a diary, or a paper diary, then that's absolutely fine. Make sure you have it with you at all times, well, almost at all times. But if not, then go for electronic version. You've got your mobile devices now, so get a calendar that will synchronize to all your mobile devices, preferably has a web-based profile as well, so you can see it when you're online, and then you can synchronize it and you can add to it anywhere. Now, of course, being an iPhone user, I would use it. On an iPad, I will use Apple's calendar there, and I can access, and it synchronizes across all my devices. But whatever you're happy with, Google Calendar is a good one for this. You can get that on mobile devices, and it has a web-based format as well for it. So next, after we talked about calendar, the next thing that I would really start to think about is how you're going to take notes. What is going to be your note-taking regime? What are you going to use? Now, again, this is down to you. You need to be happy with it, and you need to devise a way that you can take notes effectively and quickly, and you have them organized, ready for moments later on when you can actually access them. Now, one thing I would say, try not to get a system that you have to rewrite your notes. Although this is good for memory, it's not necessarily good for you for time. And what you need to do is try to devise a way that you can record your notes effectively and efficiently within the sessions. Okay, now things like PowerPoints and presentations will be presented electronically. So with these, I would tend not to write down what's on the slide, but write down what the tutor or the lecturer is saying to you, okay, because that's going to be more important. And you need that way to sort of like organize it so you can access it later. And believe me, you might sit there and think, I will remember this. But no, you won't. Okay, and there's nothing worse than actually getting to that end assignment and thinking, oh, what was that really good quote that Ian said in that lecture, and not being able to find it or the reference. So try to find a system that works for you, but is organized enough to retrieve that data when you need it, that information. Now, my note-taking application of choice is Evernote, and I find that Evernote is really good at providing cross platform. You can use it to record notes. It does web clipping. You can put sound on it. You can do pictures. There's a real variety that you could do. Here's Evernote. That's not me, by the way. There's a real variety of things and ways you can capture and organize your notes, and you can have different notebooks and different tags. And the most important thing, just down here, look, Evernote is free. Okay, you don't need these other ones, so stick with this. I've been using Evernote for a long time, and I've always had the free version and haven't paid for it. And I don't think I would until I actually feel the need for it. So I use Evernote, but there's also Google Keep. Okay, they don't have an iOS app at the moment, but I think there's one called Turbo Notes that says it can use it. I don't use it at all, but it might be worth sort of like having a look at Turbo Notes and seeing whether or not there's anything that it's worth it using. But definitely Google Keep, and I know some of my colleagues use Google Keep as well to keep organized. So The final thing that I talked about, because as you know, I like to give you 3 things, is a to-do list. And to me, the to-do list, the way of recording your tasks and your activities that you must do, suggested readings and things like that is really important. You need a way that you're going to record these and remember what you need to do. There's nothing worse than getting to the end and suddenly remembering that you've forgotten something. Now, again, Google Keep, you can use this to record your Google Keep, but also I use an application called Things, which is, I think there's a small cost to that, but it works well over my Apple devices, which I like. I used to use something called OmniFocus, which was recommended by, I think it's Dave Allen's book, Getting Things Done. But what I found that OmniFocus was so complicated for me to use that I was spending more time entering data into it than actually using it. So Things I find is a lot simpler and works better for me. Okay, so it's like what I said, you need to find the system that works for you. Now, if this is a notepad that you write down what you need to do and cross it off, then that's absolutely fine. I use things like Things, and one of the reasons I use this electronic system is this idea that I'm not dependent on my location. Okay, if I create a to-do list at work and it's on a post-it list or a post-it on a list at work, then I have to be at work to see it. And then you get into the point that you sort of like bring it home and then you leave it at home. And then when you go back to the office, you don't have it. So things like technology really helps here and really sort of like gets that idea that it's not location specific or dependent on location, your to-do list. It goes all over the place. It also means that no matter where I am, if somebody suddenly says, "Oh, Ian, can you do this?" Then I can just pick up my device, type it in, and then it's saved, ready for later. Now, also with this, remember, and I'll probably blog about this later and do a waffle, it's all right capturing all these tasks and sticking it into things or into your notebook, but there is a time that you need to go back and review what you need to do and make sure that that's actually added on. So this idea of capturing but then actually doing something about it. So those were my 3 things that I sort of like think is good to get in preparation for university so far. Get yourself a calendar, think about how you're going to take notes, and to-do lists. And you might be thinking to yourself, hang on a minute, why do I need to think about this now? Well, what I would say to you is that you need to develop this system now away from university or before you get into university, so you know that it's going to work efficiently and effectively. And you almost like want it to be habit formed by the time you get to university. So you need to be able to think, oh, I got that to do, da 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 da, and it's done. Rather than trying to learn the process. It also allows you to learn the ins and outs of the applications or how to enter things and to sort of like see the different ways to sort of like represent this data or this information. Also, it allows you that opportunity to think, well, here's a diary, let's do this, and think, oh no, I'm not really using that, let's try something else. And use that time wisely and effectively ready before you come to university. Of course, there will be a time that you think it works, but when you get to university, you'll have to review it because it's not working so well, and that would be your next step. But have a think about it now, okay? Have a think about it now, and then you'll sort of like understand and get it more habit forming. Now, if you have any wonderful ideas or advice about coming to university, then by all means you can add them to comments below, either here on wilsonwaffling.co.uk and the blog post, or remember there are some forums over there that you can go and pop your comments in as well. Alternatively, remember, I'm always keen for people to tweet me or to contact me on my Wilson Waffling Facebook page, where currently we're at 393 likes. So the aim, as well as my YouTube channel, which I'm trying to get 25 subscribers to, it would be absolutely fantastic to actually get up to 400 likes on my Wilson Waffling page. So if you like this, give this a thumbs up for this video and then pop along to the Facebook page and give that a thumbs up as well. The more thumbs up, the better. Okay, it really gives me an idea that you're sort of like, you value the contribution I'm making and the information, and you find it actually useful. So remember, I have a challenge that I need to try to get to 25 subscribers on my Wilson Waffling page. I'm currently at 23 subscribers, so another 2 and I'm there. So by all means, please, or I shouldn't beg, if you want to sort of like make up a YouTube account or via your Gmail account and then just subscribe, then you'll get all these Wilson Waffling lives as I publish them. Rather than actually watching them live, you can actually watch them at your own time and place or mobile device. Now, just before we finish today, there was one final piece of information I wanted to show you, and this is from the EdgeEdMick site again, and this, I quite like this site, and I've actually submitted an article to be published here, but as yet it's not been published, so I'm thinking that I haven't made the mark, so I'm probably going to go back to having another look at this. And one of the things that is over there is this: 8 effective ways to get to know your students. And I really like this idea. It sort of like gives some very good sort of like activity. So rather than giving theoretical information about it, it gives you some really good ideas. And this thing about silent line, students must silently form a line quickly as possible with criteria indicated by the teacher. Really like that. I'm not too keen on snowball fight, okay, but there's really some nice activities there that you might want to have a look at for your first day at school with your students. Okay, the other thing that I will say is that I use some things very similar on my when I meet my academic tutor group or when I meet my class for the first time. And if you would like to know what they are in higher education, then hard luck, I'm not telling you, because you'll have to be in my group and come along and see them in action. Maybe in October I'll have a chat about them and tell you what I did. Okay, so some nice ideas there about starting a new year. Please remember that if you contribute or tweet at all to me, then you will be put in September's. We'll start this off at the 1st of September. Anybody in September will be popped into the Decide Now app. And of course, once I've done the Decide Now app at the end of the month on the last Wilson Waffling Live of that one, then what we do is that anybody who's been put into that app, I roll it on online, on air, on a Wilson Waffling Live section. And what you do is that if you come out and if you pick, then you get one of the wonderful coveted I waffled with Wilson badges, and you can just see one in there being proudly modelled by someone on last week's Interwaffle puzzle break. Okay, so if you're interested in gaining an I waffled with Wilson badge, then just contribute in some way, tweet me about Wilson Waffling, add a comment below on this on Wilson Waffling or on the YouTube site or anywhere. So that's the end of Wilson Waffling Live today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope the weather stays like this over the bank holiday, and I hope that you're all looking forward to getting back to work and starting a new job. So thank you very much. We'll run the titles one last time just to see whether or not they work. Have fun, and I'll catch you all later.
Wilson Waffling.